Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the Idaho House Republicans podcast, where you get to learn a little bit more about the legislators that you have sent to the State House. And today we are very grateful to have Representative Charlie Shepherd, who represents Legislative District 7 in Seat B, and he is in his third term. Welcome to the Idaho House Republicans podcast, Representative Charlie Shepherd.
Well, thank you.
Hey, let me tell you a little bit about Charlie, okay, before we start. He was raised in Garden Valley and is a graduate of Salmon River High School. And he's been a supervisor at the Salmon River Joint School District for quite a while. And he was 10 years in logging before that, if you can imagine, and 15 years with his family-owned sawmill. And he also a log cabin business. And he loves to coach. You love to coach. You coach high school football, high school basketball, track, 18 years of that. And you are insane to be, but you are a basketball official, and where you catch all sorts of grief from the fans, I imagine. But thank you for doing that.
Yep, keeps me warmed up for this job.
You got to call a lot of balls and strikes, right? A lot of fouls, right?
Right. Yep.
But the best part of your life, of course, is your lovely wife, Susan, of 31 years. You have 4 beautiful children. You have 5 grandchildren. Is that current?
That's current.
Okay.
Yeah, just the newest little baby girl.
Oh, congratulations. And what's the baby girl's name?
Sylvia.
Oh, what a great name. What a great name. Well, welcome to the podcast. So the first thing we always talk about, Representative, is Legislative District 7. What is Legislative District? Where is it? And what do your constituents care about? What are the issues that drive Legislative District 7?
District 7 goes essentially from Indian Valley Council area up the 95 corridor to Lewiston. And it encompasses most of the city of Lewiston. It's Adams County, Idaho County, and the bigger part of Nez Perce County. And the biggest issues up there is your natural resource issues, your public education issues, and your school choice issues. In my district, there's a balance of both. It's important to both people. So I have had to take on that challenge of making all parties as happy as possible. But like being a basketball official, you're not going to make everybody happy.
Right.
So my job is to find a balance. And so far, I've had pretty good luck doing that.
Good job. Good job. So let's talk a little bit about why did you get involved in politics? So you've been here 6 years. You're in your 6th year. Why did you get involved in politics, Representative Shepherd?
Well, I tell people that I was involved in politics for 18 years before I ever got in politics, because coaching is a lot of politics.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I was all trained up on how to deal with that part of the deal. But of course, my dad was a legislator in my seat for 16 years.
Really?
Prior to my first year being elected.
Wow.
But being involved in politics, as far back as I can remember, we were helping campaign for Steve Sims, and essentially the grassroots Republican movement that has slowly and now completely almost taken over our state as far as being a very strong Republican state. People that haven't lived here their whole life like I have, they might not remember. We used to have a Democrat governor.
Yeah, for 20-something years.
Yeah, Democrat attorney general. I mean, all
split
the
Senate.
Yep.
Democratic House.
Yep. So I remember what it was like before the Republican wave, you might say. So I appreciate what we have now, maybe more than some people that have just moved in. And at the same time, I realized we got to keep the pressure on, keep moving in or staying in the conservative form of government that I appreciate the most.
From your lips to God's ears, as they say.
Right.
Let's talk about the committees on which you serve. Which committees do you serve on?
So I'm on Transportation and Defense, which was very interesting. Yesterday we had a closed meeting with the Defense Department, giving us an update on what's going on in Iran, and it's kind of a privilege to be a part of that committee. Wow. when that happens. Then I'm on the Resource Committee, which that's been an interesting committee this year with our fish and game rules, and and that's been sporty, you might say.
There you go.
And the tax committee. And of course, that committee started out right off the session with the first real controversial bill when we had to the conformity.
Conformity.
Yeah. So, and since then it's been fairly quiet, which doesn't break my heart because you only like getting beat up so much before you start getting broke down a little bit. No, it's been good. Been good.
Hey, so let's turn to some legislation. We're going to talk about all these topics that you raised, but there's a couple bills that you are running yourself. One of them is House Bill 678, and it has to deal with wolf trapping. And so, what is the issue that you're trying to solve, and how does House Bill 678 solve that issue?
Well, my bill does two things, and the first one is more. I want to send a signal, a message to the citizens of the state of Idaho that we, as elected officials, are trying to reduce the wolf population, regardless of what they might think of the Fish and Game Department and the commission. We are not sitting idly by and essentially doing what they think is best. I'm taking action, and this is one tiny tool that I'm using to try to, one, show them that we're taking action, and two, that I think is a huge benefit to our wolf trappers. The problem with the wolf situation is we've created a sanctuary for wolves in the backcountry and behind all our locked gates, our roadless areas. And people can't get back there and I don't want to say easily, but economically get after the wolf.
Okay.
Hunting. So what this does is it makes it more economically feasible for a trapper to go way back in the backcountry or behind those locked gates, take the time and effort to set their trap up, put their camera on their trap, and then they don't have to go back to that trap until something is caught in the trap. Under current rule, they have to go back and check that trap every 72 hours.
Oh.
That becomes, especially in the
very impractical.
In the wintertime, you're snowmobiling in or you're snowshoeing in. So what that does is, again, it puts all our elk that are still back there at risk of being depredated, you might say, by the wolf.
Yeah.
And we've got to do something about the wolf because the elk are moving down into the farm fields. They're damaging crops. That's costing taxpayer money in having to pay for the damage done by the elk. So it affects everybody in the state, and mostly in a negative way. I'm sure there's a few people in the state that like the fact that we have a big wolf population. It might be growing, but that is not the majority of my constituents, put it that way.
And that terms of crops and also livestock and
Correct.
Right. So
it's
for your district, that's a real issue.
That's a real issue. And that's kind of in my wheelhouse of things that I am educated on, and I think I've been fairly effective of getting that message out and trying to help fix the problem.
Let's talk about, there's another bill you want to discuss, House Bill 664, which talks about differential speed limits. So there's been some research done on that, and maybe you could discuss what your point of view is and what you'd like to see done in this bill.
Well, the first, people want to use the word safety as a criticism, and the ironic part of that criticism is that's the very reason we're doing it. It's been proven that if you can stop traffic buildup, stop the big traffic jams, that it's safer. The states that have done legislation to stop that or help try to mitigate that, they have less fatal accidents. And
you're basically saying the truck should be able to travel at the same rate as passenger cars. What does that mean when you say differentials? I mean, because certain people get to travel at different rates of speed?
Correct. Like on our interstate, you can go 80 in a passenger vehicle, but you can only go 70 in a truck.
Okay.
And the critics say that, oh, you're going to have all these big trucks going 80. And that is just not accurate. That is not what we're trying to do, and that's not what will happen. What will happen is you get two trucks going side by side, both going 70. They risk a speeding ticket and losing their CDL, their way of life, if they go faster than the truck that's beside them to speed up long enough to get around them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have traffic that stacks up behind those people, you know, sometime between Mountain Home and Boise, you know, it stacks up for a long ways. And that causes people to get impatient. It causes road rage. And anytime you have people angry on the road, that is not a safe situation.
So would it allow the trucks to go 80 miles an hour as well?
It allows the trucks to go the same speed as the car.
There you go.
If the state chooses to allow that speed limit to be 80, then yes, they probably, some of them, and some of them already do. You're on the freeway like I am. I'm going 75 miles an hour down the interstate, and the truck will pass me right now today.
Right.
It's not going to stop trucks from breaking the law. They're already doing it. That's what we have law enforcement for, and that's what we had speed limits for. What this will do will allow trucks the ability, without breaking the law, to get around the truck that's beside them, and then they can slow back down when they get back in the right lane.
And the statement of purpose in your bill, you did mention there's been studies that suggest there's more traffic accidents and more congestion when you have vehicles traveling at different speeds.
Correct.
And that's what you're trying to increase traffic flow on the interstates.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And that's a bill, I believe, being brought by Representative Pickett?
That's correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And we actually passed that bill off the House floor, and it is now over in the Senate.
Okay.
And I'm trying to encourage, you know, my senators to see the safety concerns that this is going to help.
Did it pass overwhelmingly in the House, or just by a squeaker?
I'm not absolutely, I can't remember exactly. We've done so many already, but it was handily. It passed handily.
Okay. So let's talk about, you are the Vice Chair of Resources and Conservation, right?
Correct, yeah.
Part of that, I imagine, is that where a wood trapping bill would come through, wolf trapping bill would come through that?
Yes.
Okay.
And just to be transparent, it's already been through my committee.
Right.
Off the House floor.
Right.
And today I got it passed out of the Senate Resources Committee today. So it is going to the Senate floor.
It passed the House 67-0.
Yes.
That's
That's
a bill everyone can agree on.
yes.
So just for inside baseball for people, how do you become a vice chair? Are you selected by the committee itself, or is that something where the Speaker of the House says, here's my chair and my vice chair? How does that work?
The Speaker. It's
The Speaker does.
100% at the privilege of the Speaker. I think most of the time they try to put people in those seats where they think they have the most knowledge.
Now, I believe that water must be a huge issue where you are as well. Any thoughts as your position as the Vice Chair of Resources and Conservation, just how what we need to do to conserve our water and to make sure that our farmers and get adequate supplies of water?
Water, to me, is like transportation. If you invest money into your transportation, you will get that money back through business, through income. Water, to me, is the same way. It takes money to make money. If we invest money into water, to where we're sure that our agriculture, our businesses, everybody that needs it are flourishing, we'll get that money back through the tax revenue that those businesses generate. And there's some people that get a little frustrated with spending money on water, but without water, you have nothing.
No.
I mean, you really don't.
Idaho's economy is so dependent on it.
Correct. And so I'm a firm, active proponent of building more dams, more water storage. The conversation of tearing our dams out, to me, is one of the most ridiculous conversations that we can have in this state, because it's so valuable to everything we do.
Well, it's 50%. 50% of our energy comes from hydroelectric.
Correct.
So.
And the same people that want the green energy are the ones advocating for tearing out the dams. The dams are the greenest, the most efficient, and the most
And renewable.
renewable.
Right.
Yes, you don't get any better.
And
than
it's
that.
the cheapest fuel you can have.
Correct.
Is water flowing.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
You don't pay for the fuel.
Yes, and I'm a big proponent of fishing, and the dams, by having the dams in place, the 3 lower Snake River dams, they kept the river temperatures low enough in low water years that the fish, the smolt, didn't die going downriver.
Interesting.
They were able to keep that water temperature down because of the dams. And the science has proven, the fish counts have proven that the fish count has never been as low since the dams went in as before the dams went in.
Oh, interesting.
So, and that's something that a lot of people don't.
So there's a lot of misperceptions in that.
Correct.
Gotcha. So let's move over to another topic that you and I were talking about before we went on air, and that's public education. You mentioned even in your discussion about the committees that you serve, you were talking about how you have to have that balance between the public schools and then and options, because you probably have a lot of homeschoolers, you probably have a lot of people that want to, be more directly impacted with their children's education, right? So talk about, because you come from the public schools, right? You work in the public schools. Your wife, I believe, works in the public schools.
Yes, correct.
So talk about how you balance that, because you're literally in the public school system, but you also appreciate that your district likes to have options. So talk a little bit about what that's meant for you managing that in your district.
I've ruffled some feathers. People were a little nervous about the tax credit that I
House Bill 93.
House Bill 93, and I kept telling them that I assure you that not one dime of current education funding, public education funding, is being touched to finance House Bill 93.
Right.
And I still am sticking to that statement.
Yeah.
The reason that I believe in school choice is because one size does not fit all in this country.
Right.
Just because I think public education has been effective and good for me and my family. All my kids went through public education. All my brothers and sisters went through public education. Doesn't mean that there is other kids out there that don't.
Yeah, they aren't reached there.
Yeah,
they don't thrive.
Right. It doesn't do it for them. And so pushing everybody into this same basket and expecting everybody to be happy is not realistic.
Right.
And as an elected official, I represent all of them.
Right.
So our Constitution says that we will financially support public education, and that's first and foremost. We've done that. 64 to 65% increase in public education funding since I've been voted into office,
right.
And I've supported it every year.
But the Supreme Court did say that House Bill 93 is completely constitutional because there's not one system of education that's guaranteed under the Constitution. You can have systems, multiple systems of education.
Correct. And I applaud that they came to that conclusion, because that's what I believe personally.
Unanimously, by the way, 5-0.
Right. And so people want to say you got to have one or the other, and we can't afford it. It's all the same pool of money.
Right.
It's education for K through 12.
Right.
It's all education. Now, because it's being spent somewhere that you don't quite like, doesn't mean that it's not education.
Or not effective.
Right. And if we can educate with the school choice for $5,000 or $7,500 if it's special ed, that is a huge savings to the people that are in public education, because their students are it's costing more for
it's
the
more like
students
$8,400 or $8,500 per student. Yeah.
So I failed to see where they can't see that the simple math, that it's good for everybody.
It's interesting. I remember when Tom Lunas said that when they started the charter schools, there was a lot of consternation over that. Like, would that materially impact public schools? Now there's not almost 90 of them, and they have been a raging success in general. And, this is just another step that we're taking. And I do appreciate the number of options that you have in Idaho to get educated, whether it's the pods or private schools or, parochial schools or charter schools, public school. I mean, we have a lot of choices here in Idaho.
Yes, and I call it freedom.
Yes.
And the number one most valuable thing we have in this country and in this state is freedom.
Right.
And anytime you can increase a citizen's freedom, I think that's a step forward.
That's a good thing.
I think that's a step forward. And don't get me wrong, public education has done so much for me and my family.
Yes.
I mean, I'm never going to throw public education under the bus.
No.
I'm hands-on every day. I see the good that it does. But at the same time, I see that there's things that can be fixed. Like any business, any entity, there's always little things you can tweak and make better. That doesn't mean you don't like it.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you're a critic of it.
No, I think what's interesting about House Bill 93, Representative Shepherd, is that I think it's taken a lot of the air out of the room and we've forgotten what the legislature has done for public schools over the last 10 years. $1.5 billion more dollars, 84% increase in the amount of money per student, raising teacher pay to the top 10 from the bottom 10, right?
Correct.
And the beauty of it is that we've seen a return on that investment. In fact, the Heritage Foundation says that Idaho schools are number one in terms of return on investment.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I haven't heard that.
So we have 7% of all of our students graduate with some kind of certificate, like a CTE, something where they've gotten a lot of credits in public school. The legislature has spent $170 million to help kids get 1.8 million college credits over the last 10 years, which is fantastic, right? And we have the highest graduation rates in 10 years. We have the launch program. We have CTE. We're very active in the public school system, and it should be held in high regard. And I know the legislature does hold it in high regard. And you also did that funding where you took some of the tax dollars, the sales tax dollars, and put it aside so that we could have this $1 million fund for schools to build schools or the roof or the whatever is needed. So, I mean, you are very committed to public education.
And the record speaks for itself.
Right. The record speaks for itself.
Our critics, they throw stones, but the facts just don't add up to what their complaints don't add up to the facts of what's really happened. And we've been very, very supportive of public education. Yes, this year, because of the big, beautiful bill and that not being a usual thing for the federal government to do, to cut taxes to an extent. I mean, we didn't see that coming.
Right.
But we're going to be fine. I think going forward, that actually is going to put more money in our coffers in the next few years. So everybody's going to be fine. There's nothing for Idaho to be. The thing we might be the most concerned about right now is the bills both in Washington, the state of Washington, and the state of Oregon are so bad.
Right. They're increasing their tax base.
Tax in Washington, and the doing away with
almost 10%.
Right. Nine, yeah. And then in Oregon, doing away with essentially with hunting and fishing and
they're going to be
all those
flooding Idaho.
More people
coming
up. Yeah. So the cows are coming.
Yeah, and then they've not stopped. It's unabated, right?
Right.
Let's talk last topic, because you are in revenue and tax. We have had $6 billion of tax relief over the last 5 years. And you were very right. The big, beautiful bill, $155 million we expect is the impact to our budget this year, $175 million. Next year, that's a tax cut, but not one that we generated, right? That was the federal government, and we conformed to it.
Right.
So I know that the revenue and tax likes to do their own Idaho-based, tax reductions. So maybe talk longer term about what you see in terms of maybe either more property tax relief or more income tax relief. What would you like to see if you could wave your magic wand?
Like we've said, the least intrusive tax is sales tax, because everybody helps pay that. The worst,
it's a consumption tax.
Yes. the worst of all, the most evil is property tax.
Right.
You don't own your own home.
You pay to live in your own
Yes,
house.
and that. So I don't see any kind of income tax reduction this year. I don't see any kind of sales tax reduction, and unfortunately, I think everybody's kind of nervous about any kind of property tax reduction. However, there is one bill that might help a little going forward, and I'll just leave it out there that we have some ideas for serious property tax reduction in future years.
A little teaser
A
there.
little teaser. I don't want to get.
Yeah, we don't. Right. Don't tell everybody
But-
quite yet,
right.
because we got to have you back next year. We can
Right.
talk about what happened.
But that will be my focus if the voters choose to bring me back. Is I am going to make some serious
Attempts
at reducing
yeah.
the property tax, because again, that is the most evil. And,
Again,
and
from
when you live here your whole life, and you're 3 or 4 generations in your home, and because of something outside your control, your property values have shot up
right,
from a few $100,000 to maybe a couple million.
right, and a bunch of people move in. There's
right.
more services. You got to pay for those
Right.
services. You're like, what?
It is not their fault, and
Right.
they should not be having to pay for something they could not control. So we're going to try to get a handle on that.
Well, Representative Charlie Shepard, we're just grateful that you joined us on the Idaho House Republicans podcast. And just to remind you, Representative Shepard represents Legislative District 7, Seat B, and he's in his 3rd term. And as we always say before we sign off, God bless the great state of Idaho. And again, thank you, Representative Charlie Shepard.
Yes. Well, thank you, Vic.
Sunrise on the Snake River Plain, red, white, and blue in the window pane. Work boots dusty from yesterday, but we're back at it the Idaho way.